Today we're going to max spin the wheel for Skogul, who I have been just so happy with so far in Call of Dragons. I'll talk about how I've been using her so far, how impressed I've been with her performance, even at 5511. Yeah, man, let's get it going. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today's video is sponsored by the makers of Call of Dragons. And it's no secret that I'm a sucker for infantry. So I am biased toward infantry heroes and commanders, and basically any game you put me in, it's just a fact. I think it's the shield that really is the thing that I'm interested in with infantry, which is funny because that's not at all how Skogul works, but she's outstanding. So let's go pick up these bundles. I've got my dragon tickets all lined up, and in case you missed the video on how to get 10% extra value when you go and you make purchases in the game, I'll have a card in the end screen. As of the time of this recording, you get approximately 10% more stuff if you make your purchases in the Pluto Mall, which gives you these tickets, and then you go exchange the tickets for the things that you wanted. So there we go. Tickets are in. And also, I am going to do the full pulls, so we're looking at 200 of them. But before we get started, let's just get a look at where my Skogul's at. 5511 with 9 out of 45 on the sculpture count. So we'll keep track of that. It's funny, Ice Skate sculptures. I mean, I played the predecessor to this game, Rise of Kingdoms. It's going to be hard for me to unlearn the language from that game and transition into this one. In part because I'm still playing Rise of Kingdoms. Okay, so we're going to go in, and as I said, we're going to make these purchases with gems. As far as value goes, I feel like this wheel is just top tier value. Now, I have basically drained my gems here, so in the coming week or so, I'm going to personally want to replenish those gems so I can keep getting stuff from the VIP shop. That's neither here nor there. Let's start the spins on Skogul. We've got the skip button active, which is where we want to be, and let's get her done. Now, the reason I expected that Gorash and Skogul would be insane is specifically for all the counterattack. Like, I've found that Nika dropped off a proper cliff, man, in terms of her value. By the way, 2 Skogul, 1 Universal G2, very strong pull off rip here. Very nice, very nice. So I've found that Nika fell off a cliff, and that's because she's got to deal skill damage to the thing that she's fighting. And the thing that you'll find in Season 2 of Call of Dragons and Season 2+, if that's still a thing by the time you get there, is that you'll want your infantry to do a lot of counterattack damage. If they don't do counterattack damage as their main function, they're going to underperform compared to the heroes that do. And the reason is that you basically end up at these choke points that are, I mean, unbelievable bottlenecks for progression. And the whole point of infantry is to, full pull, big poggers, let's go. The whole point of infantry is to not die and to maybe kill all the things hitting you with their counterattack. And that's kind of it. The only thing that could be better than a counterattack infantry is just a pure survivability. I'm not even here to kill you. I'm just here to be a roadblock infantry hero, which actually Garwood does, but I don't think that the Gorash or Skogul are, I don't know, overshadowed by what you can get done from Garwood. I think that Garwood is good. I think that if you wanted to do Skogul and Garwood together, that would be fine. I think, look at that. Hey, yo. Skogul, G2, and Legendary Medals. It's basically the perfect pull, with the exception of maybe getting some 10 spots. That's really good. Love to see it, dude. When I do these pulls, by the way, I just generally expect that even though there's some amount of randomness in here, boom, full pull. Even though there's some amount of randomness in here, like, you generally get somewhere between, if you do as many pulls as I'm doing, which is the full 200, somewhere between 120 to 150 legendary hero tokens. And, like, that's specifically for this hero. There's other tokens you get on top of that that are not specific to Skogul, which is really nice. So I find the value relative to the other bundles in the game to be extremely high. In fact, among the highest. And a part of, how you get value over time as a spender is you do stuff like this. But Where am I really going with this? So I think Skogul is going to be really strong. Do I think she is a must-have? Actually, I don't think everyone has to go get Skogul. I think that most people, honestly, would be fine just using, if you had Madeline and Garwood, smash them together and you're good to go. If you didn't go for Madeline, you could go for Skogul and pair with Garwood and you're good to go. I think Nika is the one legendary infantry we have access to now where I'm kind of like, I mean, yeah, you could do it, but surviving is really the name of the game with infantry. That I really feel that just living is the name of the game. You want to be the roadblock. You want to let your DPS do work. You want to force a position on the map. And that's a part of the reason I really like infantry. Like, I wasn't trying to do infantry in like every game that I play, but infantry actually controls the pace of the fight, which is why I find it so important to invest in. It's why I'm probably going to run multiple infantry combos if I can swing it at the same time, because I really want to try to push position in the field. And that gets a little tricky to do because you kind of don't want your two infantry marches, if you go for two, to stand on top of each other. You kind of want them to be spread out. Dude, 3 Skogul and a G2? Let's freaking go. Now, I am going to pity here, and I did notice, there it is. I didn't go all the way to pity, I think. I got the full 10 spot. Very nice. 6 freaking medals and a Skogul token. Dang, that's looking good, baby. That's looking good. Like I said, I'm kind of, how do I say this? Like, kind of numb to the results of the poll because I've been doing these for so long that, like, I mean, you get lucky, you get unlucky, you get an average, and like typically you're somewhere in that average range of results anyways, right? 2 G2 and a bunch of wood, sure. There we get another Skogul, okay. Cool. Skogul, 2 more medals, speed ups, let's go, man. On the topic of let's go, we do know that there's a Great Heights event around the corner. We got mages last time. So I don't know what we would get next. It's possible we have a marksman theme incoming for 10%. It kind of depends on whether or not they move in the same direction as they do with the Strongest Lord event. I think they always move into like a counter of whatever you just had. So we just had infantry. I expect, in fact, we know the next heroes are going to be mages. I was very fortunate to be invited by the developers to the Cologne, Germany meetup for Call of Dragons. It was amazing. If you ever have the opportunity to go to one of these things, I really suggest going. If it's within your budget and it's something you're interested in doing. I had a really good time at that event. And there was a 30-minute window of time where the developers sat down and they talked about the future of the game. I shared all those, questions and answers, by the way, but they said mages are next. Well, I mean, we can expect 1 mage is good for fielding. And since we just got an infantry rally, it's not a controversial prediction to say we should be getting a mage garrison, which I think is kind of a cool idea. I don't know if it's good, but I'm sure they'll make it good, right? So a mage garrison is what we should be getting next. And that's just like the cycle of the game. I mean, before we had infantry, we had cavalry, right? And cavalry are countered by infantry. So the counter of is, what you always get next. So the counter to your, mages is going to be archers. So maybe for the city themes, we get 10% archer skin. Let's go, 10 spot. Maybe we get 10% archer theme next. Obviously, because we have infantry now, I'd love to get an infantry theme. That'd be pretty dope. Actually, as much as I'd like to get infantry theme, I just don't have the speed ups to go train for this thing. So I actually can't win it anyways. This particular Great Heights event, I can't win. By the way, in case you missed the memo on the Great Heights events are for legendary city themes, and it's a power gain event. It's all about gaining as much power as you possibly can. Once you have T5s, the only way in which you're gaining power is by, training more T5s. And while I can train a bunch of T5s right now and gain a moderate amount of power, the amount of power that I could gain is like a Strongest Lord event worth of power gain. It is not a Great Heights event worth of power gain. So I'm probably going to chill. And I'm not going to go for the Strongest Lord for Theodore. Even though he's an amazing garrison hero, I can already get him from the daily special offer. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to save the speed ups. This is not a season where I think we have a lot of pressure, I think, for everyone to go max all the things immediately. So maybe we can be just a little more chill about it. There's Skogul and a G2 hero token. Okay, big poggers. 30 more pulls to go here. So far, the season's been really chill. We just had a zone opening. It's a lot of merit farming, is what it is. After 3 of the most intense seasons the game's ever seen, I think it's fine for us to have a season where we're mellowed out. Some number of people are, of course, critical of us for that, for not creating a situation where we have to fight tooth and nail to maybe win, maybe lose. But, like, I don't think you can blame us for not purposefully creating that situation for ourselves in this season. And I think generally it's great to be taking hard fights, but realistically, big poggers, full pull. It's very important before global migration is opened up to just be well positioned moving into the global migration rather than to, kill ourselves for no real good reason, right? And, here we are. Legendary medals. Now, it's no secret that I think the best direction the game could go is actually to go in the realm of forming expedition teams before you queue. You queue with your expedition team for a season. Full pulls, big poggers. And then when you enter into a season, the starting zones are power balanced based off of the expedition team you queued with. That's like a union worth of alliances, in my opinion. And then you just can't switch between starting regions. And then you have like a super, super, super balanced, great experience every season, right? Either people go the sissy route of a 3v1, and maybe the 1 is so strong it can beat the 3, but that should never be the case if everything's power balanced. Only in weird extremes would that be the case. So this world in which I'm describing, like, I think it's the future of the game for sure. To have nice balanced zones rather than just like throw all the players on the map, join whatever alliance you want, move around, blah, blah, blah. There's kind of no guarantee of a fight at the end of that. Whereas, building communities that slug it out with each other is the guarantee of both good fights and good community development. And, well, I've talked about this before. I think community development is everything in these games. So, where are we at? 9 of these tokens I had before. So, dude, this is like almost identical to the last time we did this. 136 tokens. Hey, it ain't bad. Where do I want the skills to land? I actually do not care. I could get a little bit more healing. This goes up by 50 a pop. I could get a little bit more attack. Goes 3, 3, 4, and then 5%. Technically, you're getting more gains per point, I guess, on this item over here. But like the healing is really, really good. So like all of this is fine. Wherever it goes, I'm perfectly happy. And I might even get 3 total skills out of this. It's 45 and then I think 50-50 for me here. Maybe it's 45, 45, 50, whatever. Let's find out. Boom. All right. We got the 3rd skill. Let's do it again. Ooh, man, this is great. Here we go. Boom. All right. Now, for sure, every point in this skill is going to be more value. But at this point, it's definitely going to go over here to toughest nails. That's just how it goes. Yep, told you. This is just how randomness works, You can't win the 50-50 all the time. And there we are. So my Skogul this season is 5-5-3-2. Now, this is the first season in which we've gotten Skogul. My expectation is that next season we get our new mages. The developers have said mages are next. And the first 2 strongest lords will probably be the new mages together, right? And then the next 2 strongest lords are going to be Goresh and Skogul. And so I expect we will get more spins for her. Certainly by the end of this season, we'll have a spin, I think, that's a choice, or probably we'll get to pick her. Maybe. I guess we'll find out. But for now, I would put my money on chilling for now. And I'll use her this season at this skill level until given another opportunity to do her wheel. Maybe I'll drop the 45 tokens in here if I'm feeling, for whatever reason, like I want to drop tokens hastily and get a little bit more punch. But I think she'll do great in the field just like this. So the next thing I do is I'll work on my Goresh. I pair them together. I'm slowly getting his tokens from my VIP every day. So soon I'll have that. It's like 15 days. I'll max the skill out, take him to 5 or 6 stars. We'll be in a great spot. The 2 of them together have been doing great. By the way, just as a reminder, I think Spirit Bone Torque is the way to go. I made a video where I pulled for the Spirit Bone Torque. Technically, it took me 2 videos and like 150,000 gems. It was not cheap, but I got there. So I've got the max Spirit Bone Torque, very powerful. And I got pretty fortunate with a Venomous Lizard that is sitting at that 1-star talent skill. I got max agility, almost max. I guess it's not really max agility. Like you'd expect to see a +5 if we're really max agility, but pretty high agility, pretty high strength, pretty moderate endurance, but not terrible. So this is a pretty good looking Venomous Lizard. Definitely looking forward to using that with Goresh and Skogul together. And, you know, I'm leveling them up as we go. And that's going pretty well so far. Unlocked her emojis. All right. It's kind of cool. If you enjoyed this vid, do me a favor, throw a like on here. Consider subscribing. As I mentioned, I could zoom out a little bit, show you how this season has progressed so far. We just entered the new zone. We've got still the Elite Frost Giant to do. We've been kind of laxed about doing attempts on that recently. And then soon we'll have the Rock. But presumably, at some point, we'll have a fight, maybe in the final zone, I think is where that fight happens, in the Dragon area. So I got a lot of time to just kind of mellow out and chill. And like I said, after 3 of the most intense seasons in the game, I feel pretty good about that. All right. Now, there is one pro tip here, right? Don't use gold and silver keys. So it is possible that the developers will add a new faction into the game. They mentioned that possibility at the meetup. Like I said, you really should watch the video about the meetup. And so one of the takeaways there is that if they add heroes associated with those factions, which historically in Rise of Kingdoms, the predecessor to this game, when they add a faction, there's an epic hero and a legendary hero that gets added, and those go into the silver keys and the gold keys, right? This is good advice. Perhaps hoard your gold and silver keys. If you have an imminent fight, by the way, I would say you should not hoard your keys. You should use them for the fight, get the advantage, get the edge. You need it for the fight, right? If you have a fight that's at all remotely a close call, you get that edge, you get those dubs, baby. Speaking of which, I got to go back to working on some of these villages, so I'm going to get to it. If you want to see that Cologne, Germany meetup, where the developers revealed just a bunch of important stuff, card will be in the end screen. Alternatively, if you want to see my Skogul guide, I finally got a full guide out. That's where I spent 150,000 gems to finish off the Spirit Bone Torque. It was a lot, but we got there. Check the video out. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.